Okay, so this is now October 24th, 2020. This video is going to be a little different here, okay? But as I sit and I talk, I've got a few moments, right? My computer is like, I have to clear out some files in order to continue making videos. Actually, I need to clear out this whole computer so that my son can reformat it, because they're getting rid of Adobe Flash in December, which I'm thinking that if I don't have Adobe Flash on my computer, there's certain programs that I have from way back in the day that might not work. But that's not what I'm talking about. So as I'm talking, I'm going to be transferring files and, right, multitask here, okay? That's what I'm going to do. Because, first of all, this video is, what I'm going to talk about is, I don't know, I don't want to jump the gun, okay? I don't want to assume the worst. I don't want to import myself in regards to, you know, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, but if you don't have all the facts, it's kind of hard to, see, it's hard to focus transferring files and talking, right? Especially when you're talking on a subject that you're not necessarily, I don't want to say comfortable with, but I'm kind of not comfortable with it, but I think it's important to talk about it, because whenever I have dreams, okay, I need to talk about it on YouTube so that it is documented, so that somewhere down the garden path, you can always look back and you can put a timestamp to it. For example, when I dreamt that ShaMay was dead, right, from the head up, okay, she was covered up with a blanket, right? I told you this before, okay, like this. And all I seen was this part up with her looking dead, with the gray, right? Clearly she was dead. And then I woke up crying because whatever people happened to ShaMay was going to Tisha's room, quote unquote, next. Okay? So if it's going towards Tisha's room, then obviously it makes sense now after all this time. ShaMay died April 11, 2018, and it's like ding, 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 ding. The light bulb is going off today in terms of ShaMay died in the house. That we know, okay, through the timeline, okay? And then when she was at the hospital, after 9 days of them fucking with her body, okay, I'm not making no apologies for Fraser Health Authority in British Columbia, Canada. Absolutely none, okay? I'm getting riled up with this, people, already, and I haven't even started this video. Okay, in the hospital, how did they have her? Covered up. You see those pictures, right? And when they turned off their embalming machine, her face changed to the same color as it was in my dream. So not only did I see it once, I seen it twice. But my dream warned me that I would see it, either or. But whatever happened to ShaMay was going to Tisha's room next. Which, after all this time, tells me that ShaMay, it just reinforces the fact that ShaMay was murdered in her own fucking house, with everybody in it, right under our noses. And it took a couple days to do it. And it was done through lacing her smokes. I can almost guarantee it, people. All right? She was targeted for her organs, for her brain, for her skin, for her fucking teeth, for crying out loud. Okay? This is not a game. Alright. I didn't tell the dream on the day that I had it because it scared me. I logged it, put it in the back of my mind, said, no, the worst that's going to happen is that, because whatever happened to I justified it that ShaMay just stopped talking to me. Talking. In a living sense. That's how my mind quelled my fear. And when it went to Tisha's room, and Tisha was going to be next, I justified that my daughters, quote unquote, two of them, were just going to stop talking to me because I couldn't fathom the idea of them being dead. And of course, it's a dream. You know, take it with a grain of salt, right? Even though I've had other dreams in the past that kind of led me to certain things that when it happened, it was no big surprise, right? It prepared me. Dreams that I have prepare me oftentimes for the hardship that's coming around that particular dream, right? So anyway, let me get back on track here. I don't want to get too emotional with this. Point is I didn't get up on YouTube the next day and talk about it because it frightened me. It was something that I was pushing away from me and trying to rationalize that it would never happen, and that if anything was to happen, the worst that would happen would be that my two daughters would stop talking to me, but at least they would be alive. I pushed the fucking idea of death in the physical sense completely out of my mind because I didn't want to accept what could happen, being that it was quote unquote just a dream. Well, fuck people, it fucking happened. Okay? Almost to the T. Really, when you take it there. Anyway, this is why I'm talking today. Because I feel like I'm kind of in that same situation. Because, look, I have been on YouTube since, 2009? My son started my YouTube channel in 2009. Initially, the first few, we'll just say, I don't know, I'd have to go and count my videos. But, you know, for the first 50 to 100 videos out of 1,100 videos, I have 1,100 videos on my channel, people. So the first 100, maybe my son put up, and then after that, I took over. I came in on 2011 talking about building a park. Okay? That's when I really started coming into YouTube. In all my years, from 2009 to 2011, and just being on the internet in general, I have never had a freaking dream that was nattering at me like I had this morning. In terms of this one individual that I've been watching on YouTube that's from Baltimore. I told you, I offered to send her children some grape seeds, some apple seeds. I know it's insignificant in the great grand scheme of things. You know, it has no monetary value in terms of, it's not like I'm sending her, you know, I don't know, something really expensive. I mean, there is no cost to apple seeds and grape seeds, especially for me, right? Right? Probably would have sent her a few walnut seeds, anything that her children can grow as a school project. That was the mission behind sending her these things, because I work on a foundation, people. I shouldn't be embarrassed to talk about, well, gee, we need to start these X clubs. And I've already let this individual know through her chat that I want to start X clubs in, you know, for the kids and for the young people, right? In the United States of America. And I need help because I can't do it by myself sitting up in fucking Canada. But I haven't quit working on the foundation, so there's always that little part on me that's nagging. So I'm trying to navigate through these women arguing among themselves, as people do, right? You know, just keeping the olive branch, I guess you can say, you know, out, right? Right? You know, just stay true to what you started working on 20 years ago. The game isn't over yet. Right? But the thing is, people find me intimidating. Well, who the fuck is this bitch, never mind a little white bitch, sitting up in fucking in the great grand north of Canada, right? Freezing her ass off. I mean, you can see me with my hat on and 4 jackets later and gloves and, right? Trying to import myself into Baltimore. It makes people feel uncomfortable, right? Okay, whatever. I can respect that. You know, I've been doing this for 20 years, people. I know how I can throw people off. But in all this time of working on the nonprofit, I've never had somebody's voice fucking wake me up. Never. Where I'm like, I don't want to hear your voice. I want to sleep. Why are you nattering in my ear? Like, fuck. If watching you on... This is what I was thinking this morning, people. I am being 100% honest. Because this is just too strange. Okay? In terms of... Anyway. Right? And I'm like, okay, Judy. I'm laying in bed. Wanting to go back to sleep. But this woman's voice keeps waking me up. Right? Because she's talking. And I'm like... And I already told her, you got a strong voice. You got a voice like me. And when you have a voice like me, people, and you get passionate with what you're talking about, it intimidates people. Do you know how oftentimes Tisha will tell me, Mom, you scare people. Not that I do it on purpose, but this is what raising a family does, right? And being a community activist and a social justice warrior and you know, trying to hold down the fort as it's, you know, whatever it may be over a period of years, you get character. It's called growing gills. And some people don't like that. Not my problem. Right? I'm not here to kiss your ass and be your bitch so that you can abuse me. I don't go into situations with that attitude. Right? But when you know, people come to my house, right, for Amari because of this COVID-19 shit with their masks on and all this crap. And I'm like, you do realize your government is lying to you. I have documented proof on YouTube how they're doing fake pre-recorded live streams. You know, and some people, you know, they're okay with it in terms of receiving that information. Where other people are like, oh my God, you know, I need this mask on because of this and that and blah. And I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to make myself a fucking flyer. And I'm not going to say shit to you because obviously your mind is closed. So maybe if I give you the fucking flyer and you go off and do the research, you will realize how much your government is lying to you. So when you approach people with your mask and you try and superimpose your opinions on something that you can't even prove 100% to be true, when I have actual proof to document that the government's been committing fraud and false pretense and conspiracy and all this other shit, you know? Right? That's the part where I scare people. So I have to learn to stay quiet and just hand them a fucking flyer. Okay, so anyway, I said to this woman through her chat, right? We're featuring this woman here, right? But I don't want to talk about her business, people, because these American women in the United States have been beefing with each other, basically gossiping on and on and on, and backstabbing each other and doing all kinds of crazy shit. Not that it doesn't happen out here, because it does, right? And I'm not talking about any one particular race. I'm just talking about women in general. I've been working on a nonprofit a long time. I know how women can be. Okay? So anyway, and they're not even doing this shit for charity. Okay? So anyway, I gotta stay on track. So, you know, I've got this olive branch out, right? You know, I post in there that, you know, you got a very strong voice. It scares people. You got a voice like me. You can throw it. Right? You can use it. Right? You can put fucking bounce to the clout, to the whatever you want to do with it, and you can make people go, ooh, if you really wanted to. Right? Not that you mean to, not because you think you're better than everybody else or whatever. It's just because time is short. You only got so many fucking years left to live, and you want to make your life make a difference. That's why we do what we do, right? In the end, ultimately, deep down inside, right? We're not just doing it because we're loudmouth or, you know, we're over-opinionated or whatever it may be. Sometimes we get distracted, you know, and, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, I do believe that this individual could make a really strong, positive difference based on her character, that she can stand her ground, right? Okay, that's what I mean by a strong voice. She's in a country that needs people like her to gather the group to create change. I can't do it out here, people, because there is no group for me to fucking connect with. I don't connect with white people. I don't connect with Chinese people. I don't connect with Punjabis, and so on and so on and so on. I can only be a voice that either irritates people, right? Frustrates people, or makes people angry, right? Because I say something that maybe they don't like. Or maybe they can't control me, so that makes them angry. Who knows? All right. Okay. I'm getting to it, okay? I'm not going to rush with this. Amari's going for a few days. I'm going to be outside tomorrow. I was supposed to be outside today. It didn't happen. It's really sunny, but it's cold. So I'm not sweating it, okay? All right. Okay, so, I got the olive branch out. Now my nose is running. I've got the olive branch out, right? I'm trying to show her what I see thousands of miles apart, because we're in two different countries, first of all. She's in Baltimore. I'm in British Columbia, Canada. So there's probably 1,000 to 1,500 miles in between. I'm not sure where Baltimore is, but anyway. Right? I can see that if she took this negative energy that she was going through, I gotta go blow my nose, people. It's starting to run and I don't see no tissue here. If I had tissue, I'd just blow my nose, but I don't even see a tissue here. Oh my God. So anyway, what do you call it? I don't think I'm being selfish for asking for help, right? I'm not here to judge anybody in their styles, right? And so anyway, I've been watching, listening, whatever, Okay, and I'm pulling back. You've seen that with my last video. Right? I'm pulling back. I'm letting the women work it out between themselves more than trying to import myself and choose sides. Okay? All right? That's where I'm at with certain YouTubers on YouTube. I'm letting them work it out between themselves before I choose sides. Okay? Right? So anyway, I get up this morning, I'm laying there, I'm sleeping, and you have to remember, sleeping, laying my head down is really hard on me, because that's when the pressure really kicks in. That's when my eyes start to really, whatever, right? The ears are ringing. Like, you don't understand, people. So, I wake up with my fucking ears ringing and pressure in my head, and as soon as I lay my head down, it takes me a long time just to get freaking comfortable, right? So I'm kind of, you're in that half-wake, half-sleep state, enough where you, and I hear her voice. I hear her voice. And I'm like, not now. I'm trying to sleep. Right? So I'm trying to go back to sleep, okay? It was her voice that woke me up, people. Right? And I'm like, no, fuck this shit. I'm not going to watch you no more. I'm not going to, this is what I said to myself this morning, people, before I got out of fucking bed. And I had to say it a few times because I was getting so annoyed, because her voice just kept going on and on and on. And I'm like, fuck, Judy, you must be watching this woman too much for her to be waking you up in your sleep. Right? How do you get her out of your head? The voice, right? How do you get her out of your head if it's impacting you like this, right? If you can't watch somebody on YouTube and then, right? And then now you're finding yourself that her voice is influencing you to the point where it wakes you up and it won't allow you to go back to sleep, right? And I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, I'm just going to have to stop watching this woman until her voice is out of my head, right? I'm not going to let somebody like that influence me, right? I'm not going to let YouTube videos, I don't care what the videos are about or who they are, or right? If it's starting to interrupt your sleep, right? You have to ask yourself, why? Why, people, why? So anyway, I went on like this for about 15, 20 minutes in my head, people, as I'm laying in bed. not wanting to really get out because, you know, I got to start my day, right? And I'm like, fuck, you know, I'm just not going to watch her for a while if she's going to wake me up with her voice. Okay, now that I got that off my chest, and this is what I mean by documenting the dream, because it came in as a dream state. I woke into it with a dream. Okay? It started as a dream and it woke me up. Okay? It made it so I had to get up because she wouldn't fucking shut up. She wouldn't shut up in my head. And that's why I'm like, okay, if you won't shut up in my head, then obviously I'm watching you too much. I'm listening to you too much. I need to take a break from your channel. Right? Right? I got other things to be thinking about than what you've got to say at this point. Right? Because it's just a lot of running, going around in circles. Right? That's why I'm pulling back. Okay? I don't have time for circles. Not that she's full of circles, but just the whole YouTube street situation, right? It's just a lot of going nowhere, right? But if it's going nowhere, why is she in my head? Why is her voice waking me up? To the point where I can't even go back to fucking sleep. And I'm laying there thinking, well, okay, how do I stop this from happening again? I'm tired as it is. I can't afford to lose sleep, right? I get on YouTube, right? I turn on my computer. Well, I turn on my computer. I go onto YouTube, you know, check messages, whatever. I don't get a lot of them, but every now and then I do. And I see something that she posted. I click it on. Her daughter is missing, people. Literally, her daughter is missing. She's been missing going on now 4 days. That's too coincidental for me. Okay? Alright? What, 2 days ago, I was talking about ShaMay's cigarettes being laced with fentanyl. Right? For the purpose to murder her. So that the end result was that her organs could be illegally harvested. As taxpayers pay for that. Alright? I'm not making no apologies for Fraser Health Authority. I'm not making no apologies for the British Columbia Canadian government. I don't care what party is in freaking Parliament in terms of leadership. Because whatever's happening today started with a different party called the BC Liberals back in the day. And it really started in 2000 when they first got elected and came in with a new batch of crooks. Okay? I had that dream with ShaMay in 2016 because she was in the room that Ciera had, right? When I had to send ShaMay downstairs from the room that she didn't want to give up just so that I could fight to get Andre back, which that room sat for 15 fucking months empty, all right? Because the social workers were playing fucking games with us, right? As ShaMay was downstairs battling her sister, trying to keep her sister out of her sister's old bedroom, right? She ended up meeting you-know-who, right? And when I had that dream, I'm almost positive she was under the room. She was in that room. We put that dream in 2016, and by 2018, she was dead. Looking exactly in terms of color and deadness. Okay? As she was in my dream. And whatever happened to her was going to Tisha's room next. And after all this time, I'm still talking about it. Okay? So anyway, this woman, her voice woke me up. For whatever fucking reason, as it's waking me up, I'm telling myself, you're just not going to watch it for a while. If she's making that much of an impact on you just with her voice, okay, right? You know what I'm saying? Then it's time to take a break. That's what I'm thinking as I'm getting out of bed. So I'm coming to the computer thinking I'm going to refrain from getting involved in this woman's life in Baltimore on a more broader level. I can just simply disconnect by not watching her. But wouldn't it be irresponsible and selfish of me to just simply say, I don't care about your daughter. You're interrupting my dreams. And so I'm not going to watch you no more now that I know your daughter's missing. Like, obviously I'm going to continue watching her because now I'm thinking of ShaMay even more, people. I'm thinking, but you see, I can't really tell you what I'm thinking. Because first of all, it's fresh. And I'm in Canada. It's not my business, right? It's not for me to say what happened to her daughter, right? It's right. I'm not trying to blur anything with suppositions. However, in light of what I was talking about 2 days ago with cigarettes being laced with fucking fentanyl and how our policing agencies are involved with illegal organ harvesting with these little fucking groups out here that launder money through various fucking agencies and all this other shit so that, because they're luring girls. And if they're not luring girls, they're going right into their houses and killing them. And the cops ain't doing shit about it. So how do we know that didn't happen to this young woman? Something happened. You see, the thing about having your cigarettes laced with fucking fentanyl is you don't know. You don't know that somebody's poisoning you, people. You just get dizzy thinking maybe you got a stomach flu or something like that. You get sleepy and you sleep, and then when you wake up, you feel a little better until you have your next fucking smoke. Do you see how I can get loud? Well, that woman can get loud too, and boy, she was fucking loud in my head this morning. Why? Why was she in my head this morning, and then I find out her daughter is missing? After I tell myself before I get out of bed that I'm going to disconnect from this person because, I don't got time to be on no fucking bandwagon. Going around and around and around and around and around, having a bitch fest about this and a bitch fest about that when I'm barely hanging on a thread myself? I need help with the foundation. I don't need somebody nattering in my ear giving me fucking bullshit. So I was going to disconnect. On a conscious sense. Consciously. I'm laying there consciously, wide awake, saying, okay, no, this ain't going to happen. Life is short. You don't got time to let this woman disrupt you from what you need to do. So if you can't handle the fucking fire, get out of it. I just won't watch your channel for a while. Until I get a handle on my own emotions. Right? That's what I was thinking. And now, I don't think like that anymore. Now, I'm thinking, document the dream. That's the first thing. That's what I'm doing. October 24th, I had a Baltimore woman up in my mix, waking me up, saying, no, it ain't happening. You're going to hear what I have to say. Because when I came back online, right, what she has to say right now, and God forbid, I don't want to go down that path because it's not my place to say what happened. Nobody knows what happened yet. But something happened. Something happened. And if I had to have my 2 cents in there, considering what I know, right? I'm telling you, if this girl doesn't show up in the next little while, then Baltimore has the same problem that British Columbia, Canada has. And maybe that's why I had the dream. I had it for a reason, people. Okay? That's like me waking up crying. I literally woke up crying that whatever happened to ShaMay went to Tisha's room. That's what woke me up. I was crying. You know, you know what it feels like to be sleeping and wake up crying? And isn't the dream coming true? And look what's happening to Tisha. Being stalked by a bunch of fucking low-life fucking 20-year-old little girls that think they're big and fucking bad until something bad happens to one of them. And then what? They expect everybody to go and fucking help them after they caused havoc everywhere they went before anything bad happened to one of them? But this isn't about them. This is about this woman in Baltimore who, for the strangest reason, was up in my mix. And I'm like, no, I'm too busy. I can't worry about in-house fighting. I'm just not going to watch you for a little while. So that, you know, I don't get distracted from what I need to do. I stay focused. And here I get drawn right into it. And I can't now disconnect. I can't. If anything, I need to document the dream. And that's what I'm doing. So, now that I've done that, because we don't know where it's going to take us. We don't. God forbid. I'm trying to think what she was going on about. But I kind of blocked it already out of my brain. It wasn't anything in particular as it was just, you know, right? That kind of thing. Enough for it to just be like a pattern, right? To the point where it woke me up. And I wasn't ready to get out of bed yet. I didn't want to be woke up by this woman. But for whatever reason. So anyway, when I found out this morning what the hell's happening to her and her family, I told her, like, you know, I had a dream, right? And I don't know, like, whatever, her daughter's going to come to her in a dream. That's what's going to happen, people. She's going to hear her daughter's voice. I'm reflecting it back at her, right? Because I can't do anything in Canada for her other than give her moral support if it should go the wrong way, right? And in light of the sign of the times, there's so many people are at risk to the predators within our community who blindside us when we're not looking. And they do it right in our own fucking houses sometime. Right? You understand? And they walk in with their wolf's clothes, no, sheep's clothes, like Mr. Police Officer, Mr. Ambulance Worker, you know, the doctor with the stethoscope, right? You know, they're all sheep in wolf's clothing, right? Maybe she needs a little voice in the background like me, keeping that up on the fucking burner if things don't get better. Because if things don't get better for her people, and her daughter comes home, well, you know I'm not going to stay quiet on it. I might not talk about it very much, but you know I'll be bubbling on that one for a long, long fucking time. Yeah. And maybe that's why the dream is there. I don't know. I just know that when dreams like that come to me, and right, I try and rationalize them with my conscious brain and just play them off like, oh, it's just a dream, it's just stress, you know, it's nothing. I mean, you've been listening to her too long, right? You know, it tells you that, you know, that's why it's important that you don't stay on the computer too long, right? After a while, it starts to influence you, right? But it's more than that. It's more than that. So anyway, I was talking about prior to this. You're going to see that first. Then you're going to hear this. Okay? And we're going to pray for this family in Baltimore as a whole family, right? That this young woman finds her way home and reconnects with her family. Okay? I'm not going to assume or anything, you know, in terms of what could have happened, what should have happened, what didn't happen, none of that crap. It's not my place to say those things. I don't know, you know, I'm too far away to know anything, right? But I am going to show my support to this family because I know what it feels like to have your children in jeopardy, right? Anyway, I'll include this woman's link into this video so that, you know, she's gonna do what she's gonna do, right? She kind of like me. She just put it out there. You know, sometimes my kids, depends on who you're talking to. Some will say, oh, well, you know, you put everything out there and, oh, it's embarrassing and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, well, but what it does is it shows people that are watching that you're a real human being that goes through real situations, right? And it provides a venue for others to learn how to cope with bad situations as they come across it, because they've seen you go through your bad situations and you can still get through it, okay? So whether this woman continues to do YouTube videos or whether she goes underground, we don't know yet, people, right? But like, just the fact that her voice woke me up and it wouldn't let me go back to sleep. Like, it just wouldn't. It got so bad to the point where I just said, fuck it, I ain't gonna watch you no more. If you're gonna wake me up and natter in my ear, telling you whatever she was saying, right? To the point where I couldn't go back to sleep. I'm like, fuck that shit. You're on YouTube too much watching the wrong people. Right? Not that she was the wrong person, but you understand what I'm saying. Because I've never had that happen to me, people. I can't think in all my years of being on the internet, waking up and having somebody else's voice not let me go back to sleep. I just, right? And then to find out that one of her children are missing. Right? In light of everything that was been going on in her life with this in-house bickering yet to boot. Right? In terms of people beefing and fighting and that kind of stuff, making threats and harassment and stalking and just the whole 9 yards, right? Because when they're stalking and targeting, they're not just targeting you. They're targeting your whole family, and they do. They come in and they pick one off here, and 2 years, 3 years later, or a year later, they'll pick off another one, and if they don't fucking pick them off, they freaking injure them, like they did with Amari at his birth. To weaken the family unit. How do we know this isn't what this is about with this woman's family? Huh? And it doesn't matter whether you're on YouTube or not. Because the thing about YouTube, and you talk about it, it documents, eventually you see the pattern, and there is no denying to the gang stalking that is associated with the decimation of families. So that others can prosper and you wallow into a bad situation under that manufactured poverty. I don't want to preach on it. Now, I lost my other glasses. Where are they? Because these ones I can't really see with the computer. I already lost my glasses, people. Oh my God. Where did I put them? I have 2 glasses. I have one just for walking around that's not so hard on my eyes. And then I have one that I can use on the computer to be able to read. Okay? So anyway, prior to this, I was talking about Seaweed. I'm going to turn this camera off. I'm going to show you. And then I'm going to end the video. Okay? I was trying to, like, kind of go on about, you know, my food videos, right? So, in my travels, when I went shopping, okay, now, I bought straight up natural world dry kelp. Okay, you can see that. I bought a few bags. I'll show you. And then I bought this. I don't know why I did. I don't remember. I didn't realize what I bought. And since I opened up the bag and I read it, it says black fungus. So of course, I'm online now, like looking up what I bought. And it turns out it's a mushroom they call it an curly ear or something, because it kind of looks like an ear. Isn't that interesting? I'm hearing things in my dream as I'm mucking around with freaking mushrooms before I go to bed. Now, if that isn't a high, I don't know what is. Okay. I'm very sensitive to these things, people. Okay. So anyway, you'll see, right? It's connected to some, right? And I got like 6 bags of this shit. And I'm like, well, before you treat it as a seaweed, you better Google it and make sure this is seaweed. Well, it turns out it's not seaweed. This is seaweed. This is not. This is a mushroom that kind of looks like an ear. So then, of course, I Google, right, to see what it is and what I can do with it. Turns out it's a mushroom. You have to soak a piece, and it swells 3 to 4 times its size. And you have to cook it to kill off any bacteria and, you know, things, right? And it's, because it's a mushroom, it's a little chewy, but this particular mushroom is a neutral flavor, so that when you're cooking with it, within the foods that you eat, it absorbs the flavor of the foods. And it's very nutritional. It's good for the digestive system. When you cook it, it brings out the antioxidants, those types of things. It has, you know, it has minerals and vitamins and the whole 9 yards. So anyway, this is what I'm doing before I'm going to bed, right? Then I pulled out an old Chinese cookbook, you can see, right? Looking in the index, black fungi, or so, you know. What do you do with it? Now that I bought it, I thought it was seaweed, but it wasn't. But it turns out it's good to have on hand because it's very nutritional. And you can mix it in with a lot of different things if you wanted to. So I'm going to end this video here. I'm going to show you on my counter what I'm doing, and we're going to leave it at that. And I'm going to be working outside starting tomorrow, and even though in my conscience sense I'm like, I'm not going to watch this woman because, you know, I got to get on with what I need to do and not lose sleep over what she's doing in terms of that in-house bickering, right? To the point where it's waking me up in my real life. You know, no disrespect, right? I mean, that shows you how strong her voice is. Right? To make an impact like that on me. So, now I'm watching. But I don't want to be just a looky-loo. Right? I'm not just a looky-loo. I'm not watching because I'm waiting to gossip. I'm not watching because I'm waiting to hear the bad news. I'm not watching because I'm being nosy. I'm actually watching because I care. The only thing is, there's 1,500 miles or more between us, and what can I do, people? What can I possibly do to help this family? Other than, you know, I don't pray, but pray, right? Or have others pray that her daughter comes home safe. ShaMay was 22, right? She was born in 1995. Hold on a minute. Okay, so it's the next day and it's pouring rain, people. It's supposed to rain today, all day. And then it's supposed to be not raining for 3 days. So hopefully it won't rain for 3 days. And then I'll be back outside. But in the meantime, do you see all this? This came from my yard. I just haven't shown you yet, people. And I gave my landlady like 3 or 4 of them. I know 3 for sure. I think 4. Right? These ones. She said these ones like this aren't so much like a pumpkin, whereas I'm pretty sure I have pumpkin I'm pretty sure that's a pumpkin, this one here. Right? Last year, I planted a couple of little heirloom seeds that I had, squash heirloom, and I only got like 1 or 2 or 3, I don't know, they didn't really grow. Anyway, I ended up rescuing the seeds from them, and you know how I plant my stuff, right? Well, what's that? Well, I don't know, we'll just have to wait until it grows. But anyway, this must have came from whatever was growing in my yard last year, because if you look at it, it's completely different. Right? I have a few of them, right? And then this is a spaghetti squash, but when I planted it was so cold, right? Like I said, the tomatoes got in 1 month late, right? And a lot of things that I had planted in the ground prior to that, because of the cold and the rain and everything, it didn't catch. And then, of course, slugs and snails, they ate. So, this is what I got, though. This is what did manage to grow in the yard this year. This one is obviously a spaghetti squash, but I've only got 2 of those, right? And then it looks like I have a couple of acorn squashes, which is nice. So obviously I'll save the seeds on these ones, right? I think this one is going to have to be either put on the windowsill so it can harden up, or it's going to have to be eaten up real soon, because it's kind of, it's not hard like this one. Because I'm like, okay, how am I going to store these? Plus I bought some from the grocery store, which I'll show you, right? Because it's just my way of coping with my panic attacks, people. But we know how I'm going to deal with that problem now, right? It's just a matter of time before I sit down in front of my other computer and start typing out shit. So in the meantime, I don't know how many squash I got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait a minute, let's start this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and we'll just say I gave my landlady 4, so that was 26 of something that grew in my yard. So now I want to store them. Plus I have this beautiful squash that my landlady gave to me, which she ended up getting from me 2 years in a row, right? And that's how she got the seeds. And like I said, not everything grew in my yard, so these ones didn't kick in, right? And these ones didn't catch. But I've got seeds now for next year, right? This can sit in your kitchen for a year. Seriously. And it won't spoil. That I know. For sure. Right? If I put squash in Auntie ShaMay's room, because it gets cold, really, it's a really good cold room. Just the way I've set it up in there, right? It's too cold, too dark, and because of that, storing squash, potatoes, anything like that in Auntie ShaMay's room doesn't really work very well. Only for so long. Potatoes will grow if I have like organic potatoes in there. They'll just sprout, right? Because it's dark and whatnot. I mean, things will last in there for a little while, but not as long as I'd like it to be. So, and the reason that I bought extra squash from the store when I went shopping, a month ago or whatever it was, like I'll show you after I take off some of these what I bought, right? They were cheap, 99 cents a pound. Obviously I'm feeling insecure, and I wanted to do a little, I don't want to call it a science experiment, but I kind of wanted to have different types of squash and try and place them around the house where, you know, I can see how long they last for, right? So I've got organic and non-organic. And plus I want to eat more of it, right? Just, it's a good food source for Amari, right? Right, Amari? Do you hear Nana talking? Huh? Yeah. So anyway, I can't put anything really downstairs when it comes to squashes. So I think I'm going to choose between my bedroom, which is colder because it doesn't get a lot of heat even when the heat is on, just because of the type of venting, and I've kind of got it all closed off, right? So my room is good for food storage, right? Because I have food storage in there, right? Or I'm going to use Andre's playroom, aka Uncle John's room, which is a little warmer and drier, whereas my room is colder. And anytime you get a little colder, I wouldn't say it's damp in there, but it's not as cold as, say, where I had the squash up by the north wall in the corner where, you know, Auntie ShaMay's room. So they say best to have them hanging in baskets. So in my travels out in the yard, right, I grabbed up some baskets that I'm not using for anything in particular right now. There's one. Just have to put chains on that one. And then, I don't know what's going on here. Here's another one. Just needs chains. And here's another one. But before I put the squash in here, people, what I'm going to do in my travels in the next few days, because, you know, I'm clearing out a lot of my work stuff for yard, like tools, nails, screws, just that kind of stuff, right? And I'm kind of putting it outside in the shed, or I took some downstairs. And I have a couple of big bags of, I can't think of the name right now. You know, potatoes, they come in that sack. Burlap. Burlap. I have burlap. So before I put the squash in here and hang it up, I'm going to line it with burlap. Okay? So that it takes it away. Probably double line it. And because it can breathe, because when you're storing squash, we're featuring squash here, right? At least for now. When you're storing squash, it has to be, the air has to circulate, right? It can't be stagnant, right? And just hover, you know? You want it a little more, I don't know, arid. So that's why they kind of recommend that you store them long term. This is long term. So that if you find them at 99 cents a pound or 69 cents a pound, you know, you want to buy a few of them, but you bring them home, you know. Now, mind you, some of these things are sprayed and will sit on your counter for 8 months and do nothing and go nowhere. And at best, if it's like a yam or a sweet potato or something like that, it will just grow roots, right? But once the squash starts to go, regardless of the squash, in terms of once it begins to spoil, then that's it. There's no stopping it. What you want to do is prevent it from getting to that point. So that's why you want to put it in areas in your house where it just puts it in a hibernated state. Because I know for a fact that this can sit in my kitchen for a year without spoiling. Just being in the open air and be perfectly fine. I know that because one, it's organic. That's the first thing, right? And two, it's been cured. You can tell, right? In terms of she picked it at a good time, and the sun cured the skin, right? And because of that, everything on the inside is gone into hibernation, and as long as it doesn't get nicked and bacteria like molds and those types of things get in there, it won't spoil. It just won't. So I did a little, you know how you Google online, right? So it's not like I'm completely knowledgeable on this stuff, because I'm not. Like I said, I'm kind of doing like a little science experiment. I did read through those how to store squash, and you know, you get all these little blips and blurbs. One of them said you can take, I think it's a tablespoon of bleach, and put it in with a quart of water, shake it up, and then, you know, spray your squash, right? Wipe it down. And then what that does is, if there's any nicks or crannies or something that maybe you missed when you were wiping down your squash, it just kind of kills those mold spores. Because mold spores live in your house, right? Remember when I told you you don't need this to start sourdough? You don't. All you need is water and flour, a little bit of sugar. You put it in a jar. You put a little screen on top, something that can breathe, like, what is that called? Cheesecloth, right? And then mold spores from the air. That's what starts the fermentation, the fermenting, okay? Because we have it in the air, right? So anyway, this is not necessary to use. I just bought it because it looked kind of cool, and I'd like to try it, right? Which I might even start some today, just for the fun of it, some sourdough starter, right? Because you know, my life is changing again, right? Pretty soon, another couple of weeks, I won't be in the yard. I'll be on the inside. And then I want to get into, you know, making bread and cooking squash with my grape sauce and that kind of stuff, right? You know, Andre wants waffles, homemade waffles. So, yeah, well, hopefully before winter. But I have to clear out, right? And plus I have to make way for Amari's wheelchair. All right, so I don't know. I might be looking at getting a small storage room for a while, and then start trying to sell some stuff off or something. I'm going to try and sell it before I give it away. But I might have to put some of it in storage. Right? So we'll see. I haven't gotten to that point yet. So anyway, now, in light of how many squash I do have, and pumpkins, because some are pumpkins, some are squash, right? Some of them obviously came in from that heirloom, those heirloom seeds that I introduced into my yard last year, but somehow have produced something completely different this year, right? And give them a quick spray, you know, just spray them down, take a clean cloth, wipe them off. We know what I'm going to do with some of these baskets, and I'm going to line them with burlap, right, to keep them away from the metal, and to make it so it can breathe as it's hanging. And I'm going to hang probably some in my bedroom and some in Andre's playroom, between the two rooms, to see, because one is darker, colder, which is my room, because I hardly ever go in there, right? And it doesn't get a lot of heat to begin with, and the light is always off, right? So like I say, it's perfect for jars and that type of thing. And then whereas Andre's room is more, playroom is more open and arid and bright, because the curtain is open all the time, and you know, and there's more heat that goes up in there. And so I'll probably hang some in Andre's playroom and some in my bedroom, just to see how well they store. However, I did read that pumpkins, the best way to store a pumpkin, which I think we can agree this is probably a pumpkin, and it's getting oranger and oranger as the days go by.
Pumpkins are orange.
Which pumpkins are orange, as Andre would say?
Oh, believe
Yeah, well, okay, don't interrupt. Let me just finish. Anyway, it's best to store these sitting like this on cardboard or wood in the open air. And they will just naturally ripen on their own. So I may do that as well between the two bedrooms. Right? Now that my fireplace has been cleaned downstairs, okay, I'm going to try and do this over the next couple of weeks. Matter of fact, I'm going to be, because again, I'm trying to clear out my kitchen a bit, but I have to rearrange some of these cupboards and take out things that aren't so necessary. Like in this one bottom cupboard over here, I have these, oh, I'll show you when I pull them out what I have in there. And but if I take them out, then that gives me more cupboard space to take off some of this stuff and put it in there. And then the stuff that's down there, I have to take downstairs, right? It's just sometimes my son sees this stuff and he'll use it in terms of like dishes or pans or whatever it is, and things pile up and or whatever. But besides that point, don't worry about that. It's okay. But as I'm working in here today, I'm going to pull out my beautiful, I'm pretty sure, I think I know where it is, okay? Cast iron, I don't know how many quarts it is, 5-quart cast iron crock pot with legs. Okay, this thing is like heavy. And I'm going to pull that out. I'm going to show you after I get some of these put away. And then over the next week or two, after I'm done with the yard, I'm going to have to get downstairs and I have to build those shelves and stuff. I'm going to be downstairs, right? Bring the kids down with me. I'm going to start the fireplace and I'm going to start cooking in that crock pot. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my little videos. Yeah. Right? So I'm now thinking what other things I can bring into the fireplace to cook. Right? I can have 2 things in there because I've got more than one cast iron utensil, right? And pots and that type of thing. I just have to find them because I put them away. And if I had a bigger kitchen, people, oh, you couldn't imagine what I would do in that kitchen. Boy, oh boy, it would be fun. But I work with what I got, and so I'm going to be pulling out that cast iron crock pot so that in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be downstairs cooking in it as I'm, you know, continuing to do whatever it is that I'm doing downstairs. And probably try and cook some of these wonderful squashes and pumpkins that I have. See? Look at that. That's pretty cool, don't you think? Right? And here I thought there wasn't anything growing in my yard. What do you think? That's pretty cool. So hold on, I'll be back. Oh yes, I forgot to mention. Do you see this thing here? I have to put on these glasses. This is something else you want to look for in your travels when you're stocking up. Okay? That's that. Remember, I made that with the pork. Okay? This stuff will last, I'm telling you, forever and ever and ever and ever. Okay? You'll never go wrong if you buy this in bulk. I'm still using this stuff from a long time ago. But if you notice, I bought 2 more. Hold on a minute. Okay, that was my son. He's getting me Chinese food. Okay. He took Andre to a pumpkin patch and a corn maze today. So anyway, I'm going to end this video on this, right? This is what I was going to do last night. And I thought, no, I'm not rushing. I'll just work on it tomorrow. I didn't expect to have what happened, but it did. And so anyway, here is, you can see, Natural World dried kelp, right? And then we've got these ones I like, because these ones here, you can see, right? They crunch up really good. This you can blend up, crunch it, and put it in a salt shaker and put it into your food like that. So what I'm going to do with these ones is I'm going to open them up. There's 5 bags, you can see. And I'm going to stuff them all into this one jar. And at some point, I'll probably go back to that store when I go to mail out my boxes. And I'll pick up a couple of more, because this one I like. Because this one you can put it into a salt shaker. Like this. This is what this is. Right? And get into the habit of using that. Okay? You see? And it doesn't go bad. Okay? Just remember that. Tastes like seaweed. And that's old. So this is the way you want to buy it. And then you just put it in jars. And you're good to go. Now this one is that black fungi, which again I thought maybe was seaweed, and you can see I bought quite a few bags of it, but it turns out it's really good for you, and it's more like a mushroom that looks like an ear. And they grow wild, right, in Asian countries. So there's like 6 bags there anyway, you can see. So I'm going to put those in something. I'm not sure yet what. Okay. Now, moving along. Okay. You can see my peppers. Now I have downstairs like this already somewhere. Probably in Auntie ShaMay's room in this size jar. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is when I go back to Lucky's supermarket, I'm going to pick myself up some more of this. Right? Maybe a different brand of these ears. Because this is stuff that won't never spoil people. Right? And 85% or more of your nutrients are dehydrated into your food. And as long as it's stored away properly, you're good to go. And then what I'll do to top off these jars, because these are fresh, I'll buy a bit more. And I'll do another batch of dehydrating. And then I'll stuff them in. And I'll put them away for long-term storage. And the other ones that I have, whatever they may be, we'll find them, we'll bring them out, and we'll make them more available. Okay? That's what I'm going to do with that stuff. I did look online to see if you can make cinnamon with cinnamon sticks, and you can. It's not as rich, I guess you can say, as if you were to buy cinnamon already pre-ground, because the sticks are not the actual bark. I guess there's more flavor in the bark. But as a substitute, if you can't find cinnamon ground for storage or just for general use, buy yourself cinnamon sticks and you can grind them up in a coffee grinder, a mortar, or something like that. And that's how you can get your cinnamon powder. Right? So I've got 2 different kind here. I was going to buy a really big ass bag. And there was only a couple, 2, 3 left. But before I did that, I wanted to make sure that I could grind it up. And you can. When you do it, you just add a little bit of brown sugar to it, right? After the fact. Okay? And so I'm going to buy more cinnamon sticks, as I'm going to buy more of this and a different brand of this, just because we don't know what our government's got in store for us. And then Chinese special spice, just for fun. Okay? I haven't opened it up yet. I don't know what it is all about, but anyway, I picked up that. So I'm going to end this video now, people, alright, on this note. And just with, just, I don't know.